The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
And welcome to this week's edition of Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu. I'm pleased to be joined by Greg Buchanan, working for the CPCA Radio. How's it going?
Not too bad, Moses.
Had some good races, and finally, Devin Mitzwing finally got a race win.
Won a show, beat his dad out in the final day, and now they head to Meadow Lake, 3 days there for the Canada Cup.
Yeah, that should be exciting as well. Thank you for joining us once again, and I'm pleased to be joined by Chris King, coach of the Women's Rustlers basketball team. How's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Not too bad, and also should add in that you are also the coach for Team Alberta.
You bet, yeah. Team Alberta U16 girls this summer, so we'll see how that goes.
Also, we have to make mention of the Fu Manchu thing going on.
It's a new look for me. I just became an uncle on Friday, so my brother had a baby girl. I guess his wife had a baby girl. So it's kind of a family tradition to have a mustache when a new baby arrives. So I decided to go with the handlebars. I'm 30. This is the first time I could grow them, so I went with it.
Well, you know what? You're rocking it quite well. We'll see what happens as we go throughout the show. Well, let's mention something in a serious note. Penn State, of course, the whole Joe Paterno, sorry, pardon me, in terms of what happened there with the cover-up with the program. Yesterday, they finally got punished, if you would say. Over, 40 scholarships were taken away, $60 million. Fine. Players are allowed to transfer to any school they want without any penalty or having to sit out a year. Was the punishment fair or not fair enough?
I think it was fair. I didn't think they'd give them the death penalty, but this is pretty much on par with that. Because of the scholarships they took away, the money that they owe, players transferring, you're looking at 8 to 10 years before that program can even rebuild itself. And really what that started from was the administration and the coaches not passing the word on that something wrong was happening. And NCAA knows that things like this happen. I think it was a good precedent to be set.
And you know what's been happening now? They're having evidence that it happened even back in the 70s. This has happened for a long, long time. And the program, they thought football was more important than people, and you can't do that.
Does this mean that Penn State football is finished now? Well, at least for the significant, future.
Well, it doesn't look very good right now. They're going to try to field a team. I don't know how they're going to do it. Usually when they suspend a program, a player has to sit out a year before he transfers to another school. They waive that. So you can jump right off the Penn State program and go into any other program. I can't see how they can field a team. You probably better know about that, how we can field a team after that.
It's going to be rough, especially because they're not allowed to appeal this. If they were allowed to appeal like USC did, you could still recruit players and still have them on scholarship until the appeals go through, which gave them a 2-year period. With this, right from the get-go, they're losing a ton of scholarships. And I think, in 5-6 years, I think they'll be lucky if they get to 500, to be honest. It's that bad for their football program.
And what happens to the legend of Joe Paterno in Penn State? They take down his statue. I know his family came out with a statement saying that he shouldn't be suspended for all his wins that he had during that time, but if he knew what was going on, and of course he can't say that right now because he's no longer with us, but it's a sad day for Penn State football and a sad day for the Joe Paterno family.
Yeah, it's certainly a saga, and which really is concerning that you see this going on and the way it was covered up, not necessarily the way it should have been handled. Moving on, let's go to Rick Nash, getting traded to the New York Rangers in that multiplayer deal. I don't know who is happier, Rick Nash or the minor league defenseman that gets to go to a contender finally with the New York Rangers. But let's talk about this deal. Rangers obviously got the player they wanted, significantly better up front. Did the New York Rangers win this deal or simply just rob the Columbus Blue Jackets? Because if you look at who went the other way, not bad players, but if you think you're getting a Rick Nash and you had to trade off Anisimov, Dubinsky, and I wouldn't say throwaway defenseman, but you have depth on that side, so you can give somebody up. You think this is a steal for the Rangers?
I think the Rangers came out well in this trade. That being said, I think that Columbus maybe figured, they know that Nash is a superstar, but maybe not a lot of teams are going to take him on at this point, or they're afraid of losing him down the road to free agency. So I think maybe if they find players that they think are going to fit in their system, that they had to jump at the chance to take it, especially after what happened last year.
I think Columbus was looking to add a little bit of grit. You look at what Houston wanted to do. They added grit in Dubinsky. He was kind of a in and out of the lineup kind of player for the Rangers. At the same time, now they believe they have 4 first-round draft picks after this deal, so they likely can move one of those draft picks, get some scoring into Columbus. So it's not necessarily the deal they made with the Rangers, it's the next deal they make from this deal that could be the reason why they're making the deal they did, because you look at it, they likely had better offers for Nash than the Rangers gave what they ended up giving out when the deal finally came down.
It seemed like this was the deal that was tabled from the beginning, I guess, maybe a few tweaks, but this was something they had at the trade deadline. Didn't go through then, but it finally went through now. What changed in that time?
I think it's a simple fact that the next move. It's probably Scott Howson's looking at that next move he has. And don't be surprised if they have another trade down the road, maybe possibly as early as this week. That's going to solidify probably one of those top 4 picks that they got out of the trade with the Rangers.
All right, moving on to Weber. Signed an offer sheet with the Philadelphia Flyers. Shea Weber, 14 years. Hey, you can't complain with the money he got, $110 million, $68 million up front in bonuses. But will Nashville match that offer? If you consider what they've done, they've lost Ryan Suter, which was a big blow. Are they going to lose Shea Weber, or are they going to actually match that offer by Philly?
Well, they're in trouble right now because you lose one of the best defensemen in the league. You might lose a perennial one of the top D-men. So you lose your 2 best D-men within a couple of weeks. I think their hands almost force that they have to match. And now the trouble with that, I believe it's very front-end loaded, that contract, which makes it very, very tough. I don't think you can let 2 guys walk away. Now there is compensation for this, right? 4 first-round draft picks, I believe, which, you know, you get 4 first-round draft picks, you can trade that into a lot, or hopefully in the future. But Nashville right now is a pretty solid team. I think they match it.
They're going to have to. You know, like you said, they're forced. They lost one good D-man. They're going to lose their second all-star defenseman. Philly needs D right now. Chris Pronger is probably a person we're not even talking about anymore because his career is likely done, and they need to solidify their back end if they want to go anywhere. So the Nashville needs to keep him. Philly needs a D-man. Are they going to work out a trade? I can't see it. I think Nashville's going to probably match that offer because they have no choice in the matter whatsoever.
But if they don't, who would they trade for? Because you have the Shen brothers, and there's rumors that they would be a package deal, maybe a first-round pick in exchange for Shea Weber. What would work best, the 4 first-round picks, or maybe trading for someone on their roster and getting immediate help?
I would personally take the 4 first-rounders. At least you have the leeway. You can pick who's coming into your system there. You can trade that. That would be my suggestion.
It all depends if they want to help right now or help down the road. If they want help right now, the Shen brothers. If they think they can build on what they have right now and look a year down the road, yeah, maybe those draft picks are going to help out.
Yeah, but draft picks, again, are kind of a crapshoot at times. But let's move on to baseball and another trade that just happened yesterday afternoon. It involved Ichiro Suzuki making a swing to the sorry, not the Rangers. Rangers made a huge deal, but it's the New York Yankees, another New York team that made a huge deal. And the funny part was, all he had to do was go across the hall to the next dressing room because they're playing in Seattle. So it didn't take him long to suit up for them last night. But again, Ichiro going to the Yankees, what does this do to the Yankees' chances of going to the World Series?
I think they're filling a hole right now with Brett Gardner being out. I think that's the biggest thing. Ichiro is not Ichiro from 3 years ago. I think his on-base is 288 right now. He's batting 269. In the past, Ichiro was a 380 on-base player. So he's going to put the ball in play. He's going to give him an outfielder with some speed. He can steal bases still, but he's not anywhere near an all-star caliber player. He's kind of like what Andrew Jones is for them right now, kind of an image of his former self.
Yeah, and the Yankees are so famous for doing that. They'll grab the names from the past. Oh, he was a great player. Well, he was a great player. Andrew Jones was a great player. He's a great player now. He's a good name. Ichiro's a name right now. Yeah, he's going to fill a hole for the Yankees, and the Yankees always seem to find ways to get in players into their lineup.
But does this make them the favorites to go to the World Series now?
I think they're probably the favorites before, to be honest. I think this helps them, gives them a little more depth. I hate the Yankees with a passion, but they were probably the favorites beforehand, so this boosts them a little bit.
The American League is kind of a strange breed right now because it's a lot of weak teams. Boston's had a tough time. Tampa Bay has not struggled at times. And, of course, we know what's happened to the Blue Jays. I think it's the Yankees' pennant to win.
All right, we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more Gloves Are Off.